Hello everyone, fourth episode of the second season of Pricing Masters. Chris, what do you think we're going to talk about today?
About vanity,
Yes,
about mistakes,
correct.
about pricing and monetization.
The most correct answer of them all.
So we're gonna talk about today about pricing and monetization. Surprise, surprise. Where to start your
What
journey?
you can charge for in SaaS effectively. And I think this is a good moment to do the recap of the previous episodes so you truly understand the context. In the first episode, we have covered which aspects of your product are important for different segments and how to get this right. In second one, we have went into getting the value so you can start thinking on the price point. In third, we have covered the willingness to pay. And now all this value, you need to transfer it into the potentially scalable and good pricing model to fully monetize the value you are bringing.
So one can tell that we've started with fundamentals. Some of them are more academic, some of them are more tangible, that we took examples from our clients. And now we want to bring all this together. And I think the very good or very first question that we should ask is where to start your monetization journey?
Well, I'm starting from something that was it was an epiphany moment, and this is coming directly from Ulrich Leskov-Schmidt book, The Pricing Roadmap, which you can see here, and I'm recommending. I'm not taking any credit for this model. It's not mine, but I think we can make a lot of good to the pricing and startup world if we're going to talk about it. If you want to learn more, read this. And honestly, this is one of the best things I have ever seen in my SaaS pricing journey.
Same here.
So basically, what we are displaying right now is the model consisting of three separate parts of the things that you can charge for in software as a service space or even in service. I have never seen anything broader than this, and I think it literally explained the topic, but you need to fully understand it well to get this right.
So one can tell it's MISI, right?
It's MISI, it's mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. It is relying on monthly recurring revenue that you're generating on the y-axis and the customer lifetime and what you can charge for during the customer lifetime in most cases. So let's begin.
I think that we should start with the fees. So the first thing that you need to, and the first thing you can actually see on the framework is that you need to start or you need to take into consideration how will you price your product. So you have startup fees, transactional revenue, and exit fees.
Yes, and if you look at that from this perspective and you start from it, this is a totally counterintuitive to how usually companies price their product, because they start directly from the value metric. They, pay for keywords, for users, for seats, for mails sent, for everything that is scalable potentially, but they are literally forgetting about very simple aspects of what they can add to the monetization model. So there are like three things, as you said, and this is what we're displaying now. They are highlighted. This is the startup fees. So what is a startup fee? Obviously, when I'm purchasing a subscription, you pay for a start, for an implementation, for anything that is a starting revenue effectively. On the other hand, you have something that almost no one does, exit fees.
So imagine that when customers are churning for your product, you can still charge them something for the exit, for the churn that is happening in the very moment.
There are two things here. This can be either as a penalty, because you have canceled the subscription before the time actually happened. So you had the annual fee, but in your contract you still have some clause, which is somewhat abusive, but I'm just saying what is in the playbook, not necessarily what is good. But what I like about exit fees is, for instance, we are migrating to we are moving from Pipedrive to HubSpot. And instead of saying, okay, that's bad, and marking that customers left to HubSpot, you can say, what about we migrate your whole database to HubSpot so you can basically start with your whole data set of records.
Make it easier for you, which is you need to pay for it. Customer experience wise, I think if this is 100% chance of a churn, it is a good idea. I actually can bring one example from my latest client. It was a survey tool, and together with the client, we've realized that they spent a lot of money to keep on their hard drives in the cloud, to keep all the survey answers and all the surveys that all of their customers launched already. This is like this is quite customer centric, because whenever you come back to the tool, you have the whole history of your surveys if you going to use the same login or if this is the same company. So it was very nice to the customers. It was not super cost efficient for the company, and we've realized that we are doing something in favor of our customers. So, and it brings value, because if you go back to the tool, you have all the knowledge. You can copy paste the previous survey. You can learn. You can see the dashboards that you've created before. So our question was, let's start charging for this. Let's give customers an option. And I think this was also quite a nice example of exit fees, and they were quite successful so far.
Yeah, this is one thing. This is either, for instance, this is one exit fee. Is like, you still have the data in our platform, so let's charge for an upkeep. So I have seen this in, for instance, at Woodpecker, the cold mailing software, our client. They have, I think this is pretty awesome, because you're running cold mailing campaigns in cycles, right? This is like you acquire leads and then you don't need it for some time. You then acquire leads and you don't need it for some time. And this is very often the case. And instead of churning, you can say, reduce the price to like 10, 15 bucks. You still get some revenue, but then you're kind of ensuring that this customer works in cycles. So this is, instead of churning, you're allowing them to downgrade. So this is another layer that
it might be also called something, then, as you said, right? An upkeep. We did it also with our software for diets, etc. So plenty of examples. And then in between, you have a transactional.
Yeah, this is something that I personally love, because most companies I know, or very often, maybe not most companies, because maybe I am biased, but many companies we work with, and let me give you an example of for instance, real estate management solution or booking engine that we are working for. If they were doing many hard working hours for the customers as a customer support, setting up their accounts, migrating the data, building the dashboards for them and everything, didn't charge a cent for it. And the transactional revenue are effectively services, consulting, certifications that you're doing, a special program of like being an expert in something. This is what Slack did, for instance. This is what HubSpot is doing, certified HubSpot specialists, etc. This is something that is important, because too many companies are doing a lot of free work, excusing it as a customer service. And I think when the customer pays for it, it is actually changing the dynamics. It makes it more valuable.
So it is like you bought a car and you receive, car wash forever for free, right? I mean, it doesn't, if someone is selling you a car, it doesn't necessarily mean that this car needs to be cleaned forever because I sold you the car. I think it might work the same with SaaS. You're selling a product, but if you have, for example, assisted onboarding or any add-on services that you've mentioned, why not charging for them if we're going extra mile? Of course, it doesn't mean we need to charge for everything, every call, every CSM chat. This is not our point.
But to answer it earlier, this is different.
This is different. So those are like the three parts, or like this is where we should start. This three things in this framework. So startup fees, exit fees, and transactional revenue. Is there anything else that you can charge?
Well, so obviously there are more things, but look what happened. Like, we didn't even touch the essence of the pricing model, and still we have identified multiple revenue streams you can get out of your customers. And there are like 3 items, and the thing that we are displaying right now, these are like the squares on the bottom. So we have flat add-ons, flat non-optional fees, and flat base fees. So let's deep dive into them. What do you think flat base fees are?
So flat base fee can be, for example, additional user that you can have.
Well, so basically flat base fee is something that was called a 2-part tariff in the past. So this is something that I'm paying $99 plus everything on top of usage or whatever. So you have a certain amount of like $1,000 for using the platform, and then something scalable, right? So this is just a moment, kind of the starting price that you're getting. So this is one additional layer. So instead of having pay for keywords, for users, for mail sent, for hardware, for API tokens or whatever, you are doing something like $5,000 plus your metric, right? So this is allowing you to build the price point from the bottom up, and this is something that you can use to increase the transparency, because it starts from $1,000, it starts from $400.
So it gives you some kind of an anchor that you can extend as presented in the framework over the course of customer lifetime. Then there are non-optional fees.
This is interesting. This is something that the good example of it is if you're selling and you have multiple buyer personas, you have SMBs, mid-market, and enterprise. What you can do, and this is fair, what you can say is like, you need to pay an enterprise fee. So because of the fact that you're Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Coca-Cola, or any other big retailer or Walmart or whatever, you are paying an enterprise level fee. Kind of, you can even call it an enterprise tax internally, because and it's super easy to justify this to the customer. For instance, as an enterprise client, you need more service hours. We need to ensure that we have a proper additional security layer, additional consultant working for you, because from our experience, we know that enterprise customers tend to require more of our support. Stuff like this, easy explanation, something that is non-optional, which you need to pay for in order to get this product.
And we end up with an add-ons, right? Flat add-ons that we've actually described while talking about the preference and willingness to pay.
Yeah, so add-ons are interesting because they can be flat or non-flat. Flat add-ons are something that, for instance, Pipedrive is an extremely good case of the add-on policy. While they have a traditional good, better, best with like 6 plans, if I recall, as for now, which is like expanding with good, better, best. They're like different plans. But on top, they're having like lead booster, some lead generation that is adding $99 to your overall subscription. So you can pay $1,000 for your users and pay $99 for the subscription just to have it. So these are flat add-ons, so add it on top of the subscription. And of course, there can be non-flat add-ons, which are like $5 per user, $1 per user, $1 on top of your value metric.
Actually, reminds me of the case of the VoIP or Seamless provider that we worked with. When for example, flat add-on, if you were the offshoring center, or if you were working in a call center, while customers are waiting for the service to pick up the call, as a flat add-on, you can have nice music when they are waiting. A perfect example of flat add-on that worked very well in this particular client.
And the last piece is something that this triangle that this way, triangle that we are displaying, which is like the value metrics, and we'll be covering value metrics in a very detailed manner in the next episode. But just to skim this through, we have 3 elements. The license-based metric, so every single user that you purchase, it's like an option to have these users, but you don't necessarily need to use it. The usage-based metrics, this is pay as you go. You have ChatGPT is a good example of it. And last but not least, these are like the credit systems. So you pay for 1,000 credits, which you can consume, and they are passed through in the next billing periods. So this is interesting because it accumulates in time, and then you can run some actions on, hey, use these credits and everything. But if you look at this whole compelling framework, and if you digest it very well in a very kind of organized manner, it already improves the cafeteria of potential monetization options. These are like additional revenue streams that you can basically ask for.
So, in my opinion, in the current times, nowadays, you actually can't afford not to use all the monetization options or chances that you have in your product. The market is getting competitive and you really can't afford it. If you want to navigate this, make sure to use this framework, make sure to go through Pricing Roadmap book, we highly recommend this one, and make sure to subscribe and see our or watch our next episode of Pricing Masters. Thank you very much, Maciej.
Thank you.